Welcome to the GST Factor podcast with your host, Misha Blaymire-Farish.
On today's episode, I'm excited to have Nora DiNuzzo. Hi, Nora. How are you today?
Hey, Misha. I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. So, Nora, tell everybody a little bit about your story.
Okay, my story. So I spent 15 years, the first 15 years of my career working for independent ad agencies. I started in was often known as account management or client service. So working directly with clients. Quickly moved into kind of a hybrid role where I was also doing growth or business development, sometimes in the agency world called new business, which means nothing to anybody outside of agencies. So for those not in an ad agency, business development or growth. And then I picked a lane, like at one point, you kind of had to pick a lane. So I picked business development. And so went from manager to director to VP at an ad agency. And a couple of years ago now, 2.5, it'll be 3 in October, I split off to consult. And so that was my first venture into entrepreneurship with my first company, Pitcher, like a pitcher of lemonade, Pitcher. Sometimes people say picture, like camera. No, Pitcher, because I know this is audio. And so Pitcher's focus is on helping small businesses with their growth strategy. So I would say how I put the umbrella I put myself under is I'm a growth strategist. I help brands figure out how to grow. So Pitcher is focused on small businesses under 25 million in annual revenue. And a lot of people will say, Nora, that's not a small business, but it is for me coming from the ad agency world because I could never really touch anything under 50 million, typically speaking. And more working in the up to 5 billion range was kind of what I was pitching. So love to help small businesses with their growth. And then I started a second consulting business also under that growth strategy umbrella called Blood, Sweat, and Tears, or BS&T for short. And that one is with my partner, Eric Brown. And we focus on ad agency growth specifically, or just broadly agencies that can kind of encompass also creative service companies like design studios, production companies, e-com shop, PR shop. There's kind of a range, I would say, there when you talk about agencies. And not insurance agencies, which I know you come from the insurance background, Misha. So ad agencies or creative agencies is our focus. And that's just simply because Eric and I come from that world. We know it like the back of our hand, and we know how to help those types of companies grow. So I'm more of a strategist. Eric is more of a tactician. So when we put that together, you need both strategy and tactics to really help businesses with their growth. So we're a good ham and egg duo in that business.
Amazing. What I love about it is that it started on LinkedIn. We were introduced to one another through a founder group, and we've stayed connected on LinkedIn. But then last year, we actually have gotten to see each other a couple times here in Nashville. And I think that's a testament to those of you that are more digitally connecting with people, and then you shift into being able to connect with people in real life and in those life circumstances, and being intentional with those connections. And I think that that's been a really fun friendship to see and relationship with you, Nora.
Oh, thanks, Misha. Yeah, I love that. I know, big thing for me now being in entrepreneurship instead of working in an agency with a larger, broader team is just this idea that you need to show up. So I get on a plane, we've talked about this and we were talking pre-show, you have to be paid. Like, don't get on the plane for free. Like, you got to get someone to pay you. But, assuming you're paid to go, where I'm called, I go. And while I'm there, it's like, I think it's a lost opportunity if you don't also like look around and see who lives where I'm going. Like, I'm going to Nashville for work. Who in my network lives in Nashville? Can I get a coffee? Can we get a lunch? Can we, go do a happy hour thing together? So that's a big part of my strategy is always just like when I'm already going somewhere to travel, whether it be for work, for fun, for family, whatever the case may be, just like I'm there already. Like my travel's been compensated or I've committed to investing in my travel. So like make the most of your trip. So I always say, give me 72 hours somewhere and I'll get a lot done.
I think that's such an important nugget, right, for entrepreneurs, because I think it's that concept of bundling. You hear a lot about that in the insurance space that, you're bundling for savings. But I think so many times we can bundle these trips, right? Especially when they are a paid trip or compensated or whatever. I think it is important to say, all right, who else is out here and who can I connect with and further those relationships? And I also think it's really important to get back in front of people. And I think that there's an energy that happens. There's excitement that happens. There's a great selfie that happens, especially on Nora's phone. And I think that's truly important because I think in this post-COVID age, we had to rely so heavily on those digital connections that now being able to have these, in real life connections, those relationships and those friendships that much deeper. But you never know, though, who the universe is going to bring about and who they're going to cross paths with because you may be talking to your next client.
Exactly. And I even say that when I say I'm doing a happy hour, Eric and I always do a happy hour wherever we show up. And, it's like for us to invest, I don't know, $250, $500 usually, like we buy everyone like a round or two of drinks, you know what I mean? So it's like, we just say, hey, we're doing this thing. If you can come, if you can't, whatever. And then if we're doing it with a partner, we just like split the tab. But like for a couple $100, like you could catch up with 10, 20, 30 people and you could meet new people that, you didn't know before. So like a great example was the one we just had in Nashville with our client. Misha came, she brought her friend Ashley. I hadn't met Ashley, so I got to meet her. I brought my friend Tiffany. I don't know if you had met Tiffany before, but you got to meet Tiffany. Tiffany brought Mario. We got to meet Mario. I, had my friend Ellen, who is a coworker of my husband's. I had introduced Misha to Ellen in a prior time I was in Nashville. So all of a sudden we had like 6, 7 people that like didn't really know each other, but now within a couple of intros and high fives and stuff, like now we know each other. So like, I don't know. I feel like LinkedIn is great like that because you start to see those connections. Like Misha and I were saying, like our Venn diagram is becoming one circle because we know a lot of the same people and that's like fun, but it's like, oh, you also know Misha. Oh, you also know Nora, so it's like finding those connections. And I feel great when I can put 2 people together, like just setting aside my own business and my income or whatever. If I can put 2 of the right people together and sort of make a match, my friend Asmara says I'm like Magneto, like the superhero, because like, shoot, like magnet people together. So it's like, I love nothing more than to have one of my friends in my network meet someone in someone like Misha's network. And like, now they're doing a thing together. Like that's awesome.
Agreed. And I also think too, what you and I have also, because we are, newer entrepreneurs in the last 2 to 3 years, we're female entrepreneurs, which there's less of us anyway. And I think we're also part of that movement right now where it is all about, saying her name in the room that she's not in. And Nora, you've always done that so beautifully. So thank you for that. And I think that what our relationship has been and friendship has been is, we were introduced on LinkedIn. We were part of a podcast show type of thing, but then we have tagged each other and we have said each other's names in rooms that we're not in. And then, now we can interact and connect in real life, but then we're also connecting each other to our networks and things. And I think that is truly important because there's plenty to go around and it's all about how do we continue to hype women. Our fearless leader, Erin Gallagher, always shares with us. But I think it's also saying there's enough space, there's enough room for us. How do we continue to empower and encourage and uplift one another and wherever we're going and powerfully choosing to connect and support one another?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it is a choice, right? And it does take time. Like, let's not belittle the time that it takes to network, to make connections, to put yourself out there, to think strategically about like, who do I know that I could make an introduction to, or who has asked me to make an introduction to someone I know? And that's why I tell people, like, I used to do a lot of that uncompensated. Like when I had a salary and I was working for other people, I would match people all the time. Oh, you're looking for a job here. I know somebody who has a job. Oh, you want to get out from doing whatever you're doing into agencies, which is a hard transition. Let me make you a referral. Let me tell you who to talk to. And like all the way down to like, I helped match a friend to like a specific breed of dog that she was hoping to adopt. Like that one was a crazy one. I tell people all the time, I don't do love matches. That is where I draw the line. But everything, preceding love, including dogs, I will match for. But, now at this point as an entrepreneur, like I don't have a salary. Like my daughter got used to asking me to take PTO when I worked for other people. She's, Mommy, can you please take PTO and spend time with me? And, now I'm an entrepreneur. I tell her, honey, just remember, it's not PTO, it's just TO. Like if I'm not getting paid and I'm not working, I'm not getting paid. So like, I can't just do as much as I'd love to, like all that connecting, all of that matching. I can't do it all for free. Will I do it for a friend for free? Sure. But like for someone who's just coming off the street and is like, hey, I'm a business that would like to make money and I'd like you to match me to people in your network who could help me make money. You got to pay for that. So like, there has to be a value exchange. And like, we've talked about this with women, especially like being asked to speak for free, show up at a conference for free. No. That is work. Like if that person is an expert and you're asking them to show up and do work, then you pay. So I think that's something that like I'm really passionate about talking to people about. I know you are too, Misha, just that like, work needs to be appropriately compensated. Now, if it's something like this, like a podcast where it's an kind of an equal value exchange, like, hey, I have this podcast, Nora, would you like to be on it and do a half-hour free commercial for your business? Yes, I would. So like, that's fine. If you think there's an equal value exchange by doing something for quote unquote free, then by all means do it. But if you're being asked to make someone money for free, I don't think so.
Preach, girl. Preach. Does your team need a little motivation to get shit done? Bring the GST Factor into your workplace. Gift them a copy of the GST Factor book, or bring our team in for an interactive workshop or webinar tailored to your current needs or challenges. Learn more about how you can GST with your team at gstfactor.com. What I also want you to share is one of my favorite Nora nuggets that I call them the Nora nuggets. And it's your whole thing about cold messaging, cold calling, and it's your you have to get to know someone. You have to, so give them you know what I'm talking about. I'm trying to tee you up.
I know what you're talking about. Okay. Misha's talking about know, like, and trust. So I did not coin this phrase. Someone wrote a book about this a while ago. You could go pick it up. So like, this is not a Nora-ism. I didn't coin this, but it is true. And I repeat this a lot to people. So I did this to myself. I named one of my companies Pitcher. So of course, everyone comes to me. It's like, pitch me, get me leads. Can you pitch me and get me leads? That's what everyone wants, right? Everyone wants to like the 6-minute abs version of growth. I just like all these people that are like lead hacking and hacking what? Like, I don't like, this is always hard work, right? Like there is no 6-minute abs. And like in that sequence of know, like, and trust, here's a new one. I just learned this. Someone in my network posted that it takes 7 hours, typically, this was like, I think a Medium article, of engaging with someone in multiple channels and capacities before you will actually spend money with them. 7 hours. So when people like tell me, oh, I'm going to this networking event and I'm concerned about pitching myself and my pitch and like, how do I pitch myself? And it's like, whoa, hold up. The goal of you going to a networking event is not to get a check signed at the end of that networking event. I tell people, take that pressure off yourself. The goal of going to that networking event is make one friend. When you show up in that room, scan the room. If you didn't go with a wing woman or wingman or whatever, like a buddy, and you just show up by yourself, which is a good thing to practice, I think, scan the room and find one person that you think looks interesting, fun, funny, whatever. Go walk up to that person and your goal is to try to make friends with them. And if they're not friendly or interesting or whatever, then move on and make another different friend. And like, so I just always scan. I'm looking for people who are smiling, who are engaged. Maybe they have a cool outfit, cool piece of jewelry, some kind of statement thing that I can like go up and compliment them to get the conversation started. Because it's so awkward to walk up and be like, hello, I am from this company and then this is my spiel and my pitch. It's like, no, just be like a normal human. Like if you were going to try to date, I compare this to if you were trying to date someone, would you walk into a bar and plop down next to the first person and say, marry me, without even like discussing anything with them first? Like, no, like, so why do we have that mentality in business that we're just going to cold DM somebody or email them and they're just going to open their wallet and give us money? Like, that's not a thing. So like, know, like, and trust. Like, to get someone to know you from not knowing who the heck you are to knowing you already is going to take one or two or more interactions. Then from them to move from knowing you to liking you is probably going to take another couple of interactions. Then from liking you to trusting you, going to take several more interactions. And then from trusting you to being like, okay, opening my wallet, opening my checkbook, here's your cash, here's your money, yet more. So like this idea of 7 hours is actually interesting. The person who posted this was an agency owner. And I broke down, she was like, how would you spend your 7 hours? And I was like, literally, these are how, when I'm evaluating other people's services, like how I spend those 7 hours trying to figure out if I want to work with them or not. And a lot of times it's not even that much because you realize 20 minutes in, 30 minutes in, an hour in, this isn't for me or not for me right now. And you abandon ship. But like, if you're serious about working with someone, then you'll probably explore this idea of working with them over time. And I also talk about like this idea of hiring people in your mind before you ever actually hire them. Like sometimes when people like pop up out of the blue and you've either never interacted with them or you interacted with them a long time ago and you haven't heard from them in 6 months, and all of a sudden they pop up like a little gopher and they're like, hello, I'd like to pay you money now. And you're like, what? Like, it seems so like such a non sequitur, but remember that they've been interacting and engaging with your content and thinking about hiring you over a period of time. And they actually might have mentally hired you like shortly after they met you. They just didn't have the cash yet. And so I will personally never approach somebody about hiring them for something I need them for unless I know I have cash in hand. Cause like, that's rude to like, again, go ask somebody to work for free or work for like less than their worth. So I don't even have that conversation until I have the cash in hand. But once I do, I'm like, let's go. Like I already hired you in my mind months ago. Now I'm actually ready. So you'll see that happen a lot too on LinkedIn.
So many Nora nuggets right there, which I absolutely love. And I'm going to hone in on the wear the fun outfit or wear the thing. And for GSD factor, I'm always wearing my Gigi Pip hat, right? Which is
love your hat. It's your signature item. Yeah,
it is. And it's always a conversation starter. I have a lot of people that come up to me that talk to me about it. I have a lot of people that ask me about it, and I'll usually take the hat off to show them the ribbon inside that says, to a woman who wears many hats. But what has been really interesting is, especially as I've been getting back into more and more live events over the past year, and you talk about those 7 hours and multiple touch points, a lot of conversations and partnerships that are coming to fruition now is actually on the tail end of them seeing me and my hat 3 to 4 times. And so it has now become that consistent brand item for me, to where like someone even shared with me, like the third time that they had seen me, they were like, I've seen you 3 times and I'm sorry, I don't remember your face, but I remember your hat. And I'm like, that's okay, right? That's okay. And then I had this other person come to me and go, you are really courageous to wear that hat. And I'm here for it. And that's why I actually want to talk to you, because I want to see if we can work together. Because I've been watching you to see, do you always show up with that hat no matter what event? Because we had been at then 4 different kinds of events. And every kind of event, I always showed up in my hat.
I love that. See, oh my gosh. Do you know Joy Hoover at SOS Cosmetics? Have you encountered Joy? Okay, now I have to introduce you both, because Joy also wears her hat and she has like this bright orange blazer. She runs a makeup, like a tech-enabled makeup company called SOS. So it's ESOES. So it's like I don't know, what do you call that in like a mnemonic or something like that, but it's like a phonetic, right? SOS. But what Joy's invention is, and she has a patent on this, it is a lipstick, but it's a lipstick case, more importantly, that has a panic button on it. So if you feel like you've been drugged, you've been roofied at a nightclub or a party, and you can actually press this panic button and it will send a signal out to either law enforcement, like you pre-designate, like go right to 911, or send it to my family, like a member of my family, like help, I've been incapacitated. I think someone's drugged me, like call 911 or come get me. And then it will ping the location because it's like tied to an app. So to your phone. So we'll say, I'm exactly here. And it also has test strips for Rohypnol and other date rape drugs in the case. So not only can you take the strip out, test your drink right then and there, you can also press your panic button. And then she also has the makeup itself. Like, I think ultimately, I don't know where she's going with this, but my guess would be that you could buy the case and put whatever brand of lipstick in it. It wouldn't have to be SOS Cosmetics. I mean, they have great names and great colors, but like, a lot of women carry lipstick, and the idea that lipstick could be a lifeline. So like, but I know this about Joy because like Joy first came into my consciousness on LinkedIn because she was wearing this awesome, colorful rainbow hat, and she had these awesome glasses, and, she just has a vibe. She has like a memorable thing. And, I've still not met her in real life because she lives in Las Vegas and I'm in Pennsylvania, but like, she just keeps showing up as herself, as this brand. And she was recently on, is Entrepreneur Magazine has like a show called Elevator Pitch, the elevator pitch. And it's kind of Shark Tank-esque, except you're actually riding an elevator and you have to give your pitch in 30 seconds or a minute, whatever. They give you 60 seconds, I think. And then if the judges like your pitch, you get to walk off the elevator. If they didn't like it, you go back down. So like,
that's amazing.
And she got like a $10,000 award from them, for SOS, because they were just like, they just loved her whole vibe, and they loved her mission and her backstory. And she has like a family, connection to safety and everything. So yeah, I mean, Joy is very memorable in the same way that you are, Misha, because like she shows up as herself, but also with this like bit of a persona. And my friend Meg Neiman has this company. She's an entrepreneur also called the Alter Ego Project. And she's actually presenting at South by Southwest coming up about this concept of alter egos and how like, Beyonce had Sasha Fierce. And she mentioned another one in the music realm because, South by has like the music connection. I think it was Uptown Funk guy, Bruno Mars. Bruno Mars has like this alter ego, Teddy something or whatever. So it's like, when you create sometimes if you're maybe a more shy person, or you have like different elements to your persona, like the way you like to be as you, the individual, versus you, the entrepreneur or business owner, like you can almost create this alter ego for yourself that gives you more confidence in showing up. So like, I think I see a little bit of that going on with like your hat and Joy's whole like hat and vibe and kit, like how you get kitted out for an event. So I love it. I love that like, it's sticky. It's what I call sticky. So like the agency I worked at the longest had this whole thing about visual shorthand. So like, yes, we can write taglines out the wazoo and all of that. Sometimes just even like the visual is what we remember. Like that can in and of itself be a mnemonic. But I also talk about like being able to boil down, like how you said, like the Nora nuggets, like the isms, your isms, like what are like the Misha isms, like, or the GSD isms, like, oh yeah, Misha GSD, she's always saying, these things. Or it's like, oh, Nora, she's always saying da 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 da. And it's like, I try to help my clients almost like think in headlines like that, like not a tagline, like not just only being known for one thing, but like, and this can actually like in your slide deck, like those isms that you always say, those could become the headlines of your slides. Like my whole thing about there's no 6-minute abs in growth, this whole like, 10x your business growth hack crap. No, like that's not a thing. Okay. Like that's like actually not a thing. And this is not 6-minute abs. This is work. So like, so I think probably there are people out there that are like, oh yeah, Nora, she always says this isn't 6-minute abs. Right. So it's like, what is that sort of sticky-ism that's going to stick in people's minds? Because people won't remember your logo. They won't always get your company name right, to be honest. If you made a complicated name, like this isn't pointed at you, Misha, but like even the word etymology for your other consulting business, not everyone knows the word etymology. I mean, people who love words do, but some people be like, how do you spell that? You know what I'm saying? But like a lot of people know GSD, right? Because an acronym and like, and it's like, it's in the lexicon, right? In the way that like people know blood, sweat, and tears. That's a phrase, that's an idiom. And like people know, first of all, they know how to spell it. They know what it means also, so it's like keeping that simple, but like, say there's like an industry party that has it's full of your clients, your prospective clients that you want to have. It's like, it's the best possible event for you to be at. But guess what? You're sick. Or guess what? You're on vacation with your family. You don't get to go to this event. So, but what happens in the room that you're not in, like what you talked about, saying names and rooms you're not in, someone at that party is going to say they need exactly what you do. someone is going to say, oh my gosh, my business, I just can't figure this out. I'm not growing. I'm not growing at the rate I want to be. I can't figure out why. I just feel stuck. And someone who works with me goes, oh, you got to talk to Nora at Pitcher. That's exactly what she does. She helps businesses grow. She helps them get out of this rut and where they're stuck treading water. And she helps them figure out their growth strategy so they can keep moving up and to the right. Boom. Okay. So freeze that on that scene. No one had my business card. No one had my website. No one had my pitch deck. No one had anything about me. There was no visual aid. I wasn't even there to like hype myself. All I had was someone who knows me, willing to say my name, say the name of my company, and say what I do. That's a lot of times how we get referrals and how we get business. So think really hard about that. People are going to say their name, your name and the company name, and that's about it.
Your comment is so true, right? It's what is that tagline that makes it memorable, right? So whether it's that visual component, so for me, it's my hat, but now what's also associated with me because my one of my companies is GSD Factor. It's, oh, you're the get shit done woman, or you're the woman who just gets shit done. Like so many times clients, organizations have come to me and said, we don't know what we need you to do, but we have a lot of stuff that needs to get done. So we just want you to get shit done. And that has been that tagline that has followed me through so many different places. And I think that now as an entrepreneur, that's the tagline that is able to kind of stay with me and kind of carry me through.
Absolutely. Like that's the sticky thing. Like if people remember nothing else, they're like, oh yeah, you know that GSD lady, Misha with a long name. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it, but I'm going to type GSD Misha and see what comes up. It's like, boom, there you go. Right. Like, so yeah, same thing. It's like, no one can spell my last name. Oh my gosh. It's like this Italian last name with like capital, lower cases. And just like, yeah, no, if people just remember Nora Pitcher or Nora Blood, Sweat and Tears, they'll find me. Right. It's like,
yes.
That's what people do. They're like, wait a second. I think they said her name was Nora. And her company's called, I think it's called Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Weird. But then they go Google and they go looking for you, right? Or like they go back and ask that friend they talking to the party, wait, who is that woman you said? So like, yeah, just keep it really easy for people and know that's how people refer each other. People are no one is going to ever know your pitch or your business like you know it. And no one's going to ever be able to deliver it like you can. But when you're not in the room, if you have a tight enough and concise enough pitch, and something memorable and sticky about it, your friends will repeat it. Like they will learn it over time and they will repeat it. I mean, this is the other reason I tell people, like you always have to be, especially founders, like you have to be your own hype human, hype man, woman, whatever. Like you gotta be your own hype engine because you know your story better than anyone and you're going to be asked to tell it over and over again. And so many of my clients, when I'm working with them, I think it's more of a mindset thing than anything else. It's a confidence and a mindset thing. Like the things I hear all the time. Oh, everyone already knows what I do. No, they don't. No, they do not. Because let me tell you, I feel like I'm banging on all the time. I help people grow. I help with growth. I'm a growth strategist. Blah, blah. What's the first thing that happens when I get on the phone with someone? Oh, wait, so what do you do? Every single time. Every single time. Like people could have read my site. They could have read my deck. They could have read whatever. What do you do? No one is paying attention to you and what you do. Pretty much at all. You know what I mean? Except like, your biggest fans or something, your parents, like, but even my parents probably couldn't repeat what I do. They'd be like, I don't know, something with advertising, but like, no one's going to give your pitch like you. And the reason I say this is like, okay, if any of y'all are from New York or have been to New York City, I'm sure many of your listeners have. A lot of people have the presumption or thought that New Yorkers are rude. And I'll tell you why. It's because New Yorkers have tunnel vision. They walk around, you won't see me doing this because it's audio, but they walk around basically with blinders on. And the reason is because New York is difficult to navigate. It's busy. A lot of people take trains. So not only do we have to think about like, where are we and where are we going and the distance time factor of that, but now add in a train, now add in like having to be there to catch it at this time to be able to get and time it out to get to where you need to get by that time. So when people in New York are walking around and you think they're rude, they're just trying to get to their kid's soccer game. They're just trying to get to work, pick up this, pick up that, get here by this time. And it's like, so they have blinders on. So like, if you take that analogy and apply it to like what we're doing in business, no one's paying attention to you in your business. No one has any idea what you're doing or how you're doing it. I mean, maybe bare like level sketch of like what it is you do. Like, oh yeah, I think she does growth or something. But like, they don't really know until they get in a room and ask you like point blank. So like, wait, what do you do and how do you do it? And like the people who want to know will ask, but like, you're going to have to say over and over and over again what you do. And you just have to get comfortable doing that. Like there's just no other way. Yeah, sure, you can have like lieutenants and empower them to tell your story and stuff like that. But like you as a founder have to get comfortable with that. So yeah, I hear that all the time. Oh, no one wants to hear what I, or everyone already knows what I do. The other thing people say is, oh, nobody wants to hear what I do. I don't want to brag, especially women. We've sort of been conditioned, like, don't brag about yourself. Don't be bossy. Don't talk about yourself. Don't hype yourself up too much. F that. Like, as Erin Gallagher, our hype woman says, like, you have to hype yourself. You have to hype other women. And like, you can't worry about bragging. You can't worry about what internet trolls think. I was speaking to a room full of women at the Center for Women's Entrepreneurship at Chatham University that I'm on the board of. And someone in the room asked, well, what do you do about the internet trolls, who are going to say this or this about you? Like, okay, because you have the S word in your name, so I'm going to say this in the regular way. In this room, I had to give the PC version, but I'm just going to say it right now. Give a shit, but don't give a fuck. Okay, like yes. Give a shit that like about your brand and your business and build it correctly and how you interact with people. But like DJAF, man, like you can't worry about the internet trolls. Like someone doesn't like you, whatever. Like that whole phrase or saying like, you could be the ripest, juiciest peach and someone's going to be like, I don't like a peach. Okay, then you don't like a peach. Moving on.
You're not going to be for everyone, and that's okay.
Not going to be for everyone. Exactly. You are not going to be for everyone. I just wrote a post recently about that, about like flavors of ice cream. Like everyone has their flavor they like. Everyone also has their flavor they hate. I hate mint chocolate chip. Like if I get the coaching version or the, bookkeeper version of mint chocolate chip, I'm going to be like, not today, Satan. Like, no, like, so, same thing. I'm not everyone's flavor. And I know that. And like, the more you can kind of like demonstrate what your flavor is to people, then you get this whole like attract and repel strategy. Like you're going to be like a magnet, like a powerful magnet to people who want to work with you, who like your vibe. And you're also going to be a powerful repellent to people who don't. So like, I'm very clear to like talk about work I do like in the anti-racism space and say, yeah, you know what, if you're a racist, I don't want your business. So like, don't even come at me because, so it's like, you should say who you are and how you believe. And I think that's like a huge benefit of being an entrepreneur is we can do that. Like we can be out there and say, this is what we believe. This is how I am. This is who I like to work with. And if you're not that, and if you don't like that, thank you. Next, like goodbye. So,
and we're showing up as our true, authentic selves.
Absolutely,
so,
absolutely.
Awesome.
Yes, give an F, but don't give an F. Okay.
I love it. Okay, so the final question: what are you powerfully choosing in 2024?
Okay, so we talked about this, and I kind of started at the beginning, so I'll bring it back around. So I am powerfully choosing to show up. And by show up, I mean, this connects to one of your top 6 attributes, like the GSD attributes, right? Of presence, being present. Like I work the most on presence, I think, because coming out of the agency world where we're always working on multiple different projects, we're always multitasking. We're on Slack, we're on text, we're on Teams, we're on this. It's like, and now, especially as an entrepreneur, as a consultant, I work with multiple clients across multiple time zones. I work with their tech stacks and like what they like to communicate with. So it's like, there's just stuff coming at me all day, every day. Right. And so that makes it very hard to be present, like for your family, we both have little kids, like for our kids, for my partner in life, for my business partner, so I have 2 partners. I have my business and my life partner, and then I have lots of clients and I have lots of friends. And it's like being present in the moment that you're at is so important. And I think for entrepreneurs, like we can have a tendency to kind of like be in our lonely entrepreneur cave and like kind of be insular, right? Like we're no longer going to the office. We're no longer having the water cooler talk. Like we're kind of by ourselves, like heads down doing the work a lot of the time. So I would just encourage you, whether for you showing up is showing up online or showing up IRL, like get on a plane, go to Nashville and hang out with Misha. I'm going now, coming up to New York twice, Philadelphia, St. Louis, fingers crossed, Chicago and Austin, working on those deals. But like, yeah, like get on that plane, show up, go to that event, go to that conference. Like, again, ideally you get paid, you like get paid to speak, get paid to go run a workshop. But also if like you just want to go to something because you think it would benefit you and your business, just show up, And while you're there, bundle, like we talked about. You're going to go there anyway. Bundle, go see some people and make the most of your 72 hours.
Amazing. All right, Nora, if someone wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
Well, obviously LinkedIn. Someone had recently coined me LinkedIn lady. Talk about sticky. They're like, oh yeah, you're the LinkedIn lady. I'm like, oh, thanks, I think. This is simply because like, I don't have time to be in multiple channels. I'd love to be the TikTok lady also, but like, ain't nobody got time for that. Like one channel only. So if you want to find me, you can find me in the hot streets of LinkedIn, hit me up in the DMs and we can do a little chit chat and you can ask me, so wait, what do you do?
Nora, thank you so much. This has been such a beautiful conversation around showing up. It's been a great conversation and I hope it's been helpful to our other fellow entrepreneurs because I think so many times we are, we may feel alone and we may feel isolated. And so I hope today's conversation has been helpful as they continue and embark on their journeys and taking so many of the Nora nuggets. And thank you to our listeners for joining us. I'm your host, Misha Blameyer-Farish, and don't forget to get shit done.
Thanks for listening to the GSD Factor podcast. If you liked this episode, please rate and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, where you can also find previous episodes. Let's also connect on LinkedIn and Instagram. If you're looking for more information on the GSD Factor, visit us at gsdfactor.com. And always remember to GSD, get shit done.